In the meanwhile, other stories coming up. For example, let's move on to Syria. The United States and Europe may be squarely behind Syria's rebels, but large numbers of high-caliber U.S. and European weapons are circulating among the other side. Now, internet images of Shiite militiamen fighting alongside President Assad's troops with Western arms have emerged, fueling concern that Washington won't be able to control where its weapons actually end up, as RT's Ganesh Chakan now reports.
Weapons don't discriminate. U.S.-made arms are now showing up in the hands of Iranian-backed militias fighting in Syria. Analyst Philip Smythe points to photos with Hezbollah fighters toting U.S.-made M16s and M4s fitted with laser and holographic sights, as well as M203 grenade launchers.
How do they end up in their hands?
If there's a will, there's a way. And if you want to get, let's say, an M203 grenade launcher and an M4 carbine, you'll find a way to get it, so long as you have the right amount of money and the right amount of connections.
It's not clear whether the weapons were captured, stolen, or bought on the black market.
This weapon might be ended up in the hand of Hezbollah from the Lebanese military or Lebanese army, of course illegally. But I believe there is another source, could be the source of this weapon, Iraq.
Similar U.S.-designed weapons appear in the hands of Syrian rebels, including fighters with al-Nusra Front, an al-Qaeda affiliate the U.S. has designated a terrorist group. It shows the alarming tendency for the weapons to change hands in unexpected ways. But despite this, the Obama administration has decided to directly arm the rebels in Syria, a move supported by Washington's hawks.
We can give them the heavy weapons that they need to combat tanks.
Who's them?
I know them. I've met them. They're there.
Unfortunately for Senator McCain, some of the rebels he met in Syria were kidnappers, and his office had to issue a statement saying the senator did not know that when he agreed to do a photo op with them. But not everyone in Washington thinks flooding Syria with more arms is the solution. A group of congressmen have introduced a legislation to block unauthorized U.S. military aid to Syrian rebels, arguing that the law prohibits any military assistance to Syrian opposition forces unless Congress issues a formal declaration of war.
Since our national security interests in Syria are unclear, we risk giving money and military assistance to our enemies.
There's great ironies to supporting the Syrian rebels. One will be supporting forces that are associated with al-Qaeda. The 2001 use of authorization of force said specifically that we could go after the Taliban, al-Qaeda, and associated forces. We will now be one of those associated forces because we will be allied with al-Qaeda against Assad.
The voice of caution comes not only from the president's opposition in Congress, but also from former administration officials.
For us to think we can influence or determine the outcome of that, I think is a mistake. I thought it was a mistake in Libya, and I think it is a mistake in Syria. We overestimate our ability to determine outcomes.
You may think that the U.S. has learned the hard way that by arming friends, you may be arming your enemies. But it seems U.S. leaders yet again are ready to take that risk. In Washington, I'm Ganesh Chakan.
Well, former CIA officer Ray McGovern says that U.S. politicians acknowledge there's little they can do to control who gets hold of any weapons that may be sent.
Well, right now, 70% of the Americans are against giving military aid to anyone in Syria. And even the chief Israeli spokeswoman in our Congress, Ilyana Ros-Lehtinen, has said this would be folly. She's against it, too. So it's incredibly ironic. But there are enough weapons now to go around, and even Ros-Lehtinen recognizes that she can't prevent U.S. weaponry from going into the hands of people who might turn them against us in the longer run. 6,000 Syrians are leaving Syria every day over the last month. This has got to stop. This is a humanitarian crisis approaching what happened in Rwanda. We ought to think about human needs. We ought to think about people being killed unnecessarily.